I want to now go across to Dr. Harinder Sekon, consultant of Vivekananda International Foundation. Dr. Harinder, appreciate your patience as well. We've been having a conversation in the past 48 hours with you. You tell me now, with the results that are coming in, what is possibly the reason, do you think, that Trump is showing the lead that he is, even though there was so much hype about Kamala Harris and the results are still on?
I think, as was expected, and I had mentioned the other day also, is America really ready for a woman president?
Correct.
And spoken about Hillary Clinton. She won on the popular vote, and Trump finally became president at that time. Now, these were some of the things, and as Sushant has already mentioned, we get carried away by some preferences which media people have, and the polls did predict a very close fight, and it has been a very close fight. I was in the US when the first debate happened. She was strong on some of the issues, but Trump has come across stronger on immigration, and also, people feel that for the American economy, he might be better because he's going to finish unnecessary foreign wars. So this is what seems to have gone in favor, and there's a strong anti-incumbency factor because Biden has been seen as somebody who was a weak president, and I think Kamala Harris, in all fairness, did not really get enough time to get her poll in place and her election campaigning in place. So that has been a major issue, and she has covered a lot of ground. But I think the swing states are going to be very, very crucial, and those are very surprising leads which are coming out. So, so I think I'll come in later. But when it comes to India, what everybody has been talking about, I think the American president is for America first. And this is what we have seen consistently, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican. So it is America first, and there's a broad continuity in their policies, whether it's foreign policy, especially in foreign policy. I think it's the domestic policy. It is the Americans who need to be worried about what would happen internally within America if there's Trump. It would be more disruption for what he's been talking about, that he's going to fire Powell and the US Fed is going to be accountable to the executive. Now, these are the things, and he also might do what he did earlier. The Foreign Service may not be so independent as, as the professional Foreign Service people, the Department of State, because Trump believes more in people being loyal to him personally rather than the country or the administration.
I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating, Dr. Harinder. Whoever wins, it is history in as many ways. If it's the return of Donald Trump, what happens to the cases against him? How will he shape a relationship with India? Or if it is Kamala Harris, the expectation she also is riding with on her shoulders. Stay on with me, please. If Lenka White is still with us, Lenka, a question to you. I understand it's getting late into the night for you. Are people still gathering more and more, even though it appears that Kamala Harris is winning from where you are right now? What about Trump supporters?
Yes, definitely. I'm surrounded actually by Trump supporters. They are, everywhere around here. Some are actually sitting here. Some are standing outside. There is a bar here on my left side where there are about 500 people. I think now maybe it downsized to about 300 people, but they are still there. Everyone is very happy. They are cheering. So, of course, because it's their preferred candidate. And the results are really shockingly good. No one expected that. I think everyone is sort of expecting something would happen in 2020, some last moment changes. But, so far it all looks great. And even, for example, in Pennsylvania, as you said, it was supposed to be very tight, yet Trump is already leading the way. And as we know, there is one county in Pennsylvania where they sort of said they will close at 10 p.m. instead of 8 p.m. So they are sort of stretching it. We should wait for all the results, but so far it looks amazing.
At least in New York, it appears that Kamala Harris, at least here in New York and New Jersey, remember these are the big states, big cities, cosmopolitan, diverse, and in many ways international cities as well. And therefore, perhaps Kamala Harris winning there says a lot. Lenka, thank you very much for now. Sushant, the Indian-American vote was also extremely polarized, divided, very opinionated, massive chunk with Kamala Harris, but as many loyalists for Donald Trump or the Republican group. What is your assessment? Why Donald Trump do you think is showing the leads that we are witnessing, not just in the red states, but even in the swing states?
So, Pooja, a couple of things, and I'll stick my neck out on this one. Look, one, we saw Donald Trump 1.0. He seemed to be very erratic, very disruptionist. I think we see a certain change in 2.0. He seems to have, become a lot more sober and, a lot more stable. And he used to call himself a stable genius even in the past, but I think he's become a lot more stable this time. Secondly, I think as far as the Indian American vote is concerned, it shows a degree of maturity and how well settled the Indian Americans are, that they don't suffer from the same insecurities that immigrant communities do when they start off. So I think there's a certain maturity which has come in the Indian American vote, and I think with prosperity, they are in a position to decide what works better for them, rather than this whole immigration stuff or something else. On the other hand, when you look at the appeal of Trump, I think both campaigns, they were not issues. They were fear factors that both campaigns were trying to sell. The Democrats were trying to sell that, what we had in India, that the Constitution is going to be in danger, that there is going to be the Ku Klux Klan is coming back, etc., etc., etc. So there was that entire fear factor that the Democrat side has raised. The Republican side had its own fear campaign. And clearly, I think the fear campaign of the Republican side seems to have struck more of a chord than the fear factor that the Democrats were trying to sell. Perhaps that's the only sense I can make of this election, because in terms of economy, in terms of foreign policy, there wasn't much different. Immigration, of course, but that was the fear factor, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's the
immigration,
fear factor,
and I think the border safety.
Yes. From the country.
Correct. And also, when he said that criminals and gangs are taking over us, I will close the borders. I think that's where for a white American possibly.
They're eating your dogs and cats.
Yes, all of the strong words Donald Trump known to actually mention were taken, and specifically to possibly the white Americans watching that if they need a certain protection and safety, Donald Trump will make all of that safe. Make America great again is what the slogan was. Meanwhile, remember, for Kamala Harris, about 60 years of age, immigrant background. On the other side, over 70 years of age for Donald Trump. Look at what the results are showing. This is very interesting. Remember, there are traditional roots, red and blue states, that are showing what even the candidates or their teams were expecting. But in the 7 states, for now, at least in 2, Wisconsin included, Donald Trump is showing a certain lead.